coming up on Smash That Glass.
Do you not want to get me stuck between your teeth?
A great big bag of buttons!
And then we were dancing, and then we're roly-polying in the hallway.
We all have cheese to celebrate, like the moon changing.
Hello and welcome to Smash That Glass, a celebration of women that get shit done in music, entertainment, pop culture and throughout history. I'm your host Candy Machine and I am joined by AcidxPearl.
Woo!
Jupiter Storm.
Woo!
And SuperNattyCat.
Woo.
Hello, how are we all?
Good.
What have we been doing since the last time I saw you? All those weeks ago.
It has been weeks.
Honestly, I can't believe we were all wearing the
Such a long
same
time.
clothing. What are the chances of that?
What are the chances? I actually am going to show my top though, because it's got my dog on it.
Oh, look at that. Sweet.
Surprise. I'm surprised
What's
you
his
guys
name?
missed the Quality Street memo that I clearly got.
Quality street. Oh! Oh, are you one of the toffees or the orange creams?
I'm that nice chewy toffee.
I hate that one though. You're giving yourself
A toffee
off
penny.
on
A
that.
toffee penny.
Do you not want to get me stuck between your teeth?
No.
Oh,
No.
what about a crunchy orange with the little bits in it?
I was going to say
That's
like a
better.
furry
I
orange.
mean, I'll be what
Yeah.
you want me to be as long as you take me out my wrapper.
Oh God, no! Oh God, straight in. Although I noticed the other day, what is it? It's not Quality Street. What are those sweets that our customers
Celebrations.
Celebrations.
You had a meltdown at work, and our customers were dead. They couldn't believe it.
It's not funny because meltdowns actually affect me quite badly. So they have changed the wrappers of Celebrations.
Yeah.
I know you're in shock, as I was, but it's confusing because now
I didn't think they were that offensive. I actually almost think I liked them. I wasn't mad.
it's going to take
I
me
didn't
some
know they'd
time.
done it.
It's going to take me time
What
to
have they
adjust,
done to
guys.
them?
I just no.
What have they done to the wrappers?
They've changed
Are they
them. And now
paper?
they're
'Cause
just.
Quality Street and change it into paper.
I know you can do like a pick and mix Quality Street as well now, but Quality Street is like the worst of the Christmas chocolate.
No, I
Runs
actually.
banana daft.
Do you know what I think? Celebrations are worse.
No, how can you?
Yeah, I know.
Y'all don't say that.
Celebrations are really cheap.
Yeah, that's how
Like, if
that's how
someone-
they
Can
read to
someone-
Can we
me.
all agree
Oh.
miniature heroes are the best?
Yes.
They're the cheapest.
Miniature-
No,
heroes are the
I think
best.
I like a
Miniature heroes.
celebration because
No.
I like a
Respect.
Malteser and I like a Cadbury caramel.
No. If I'm going to
Is that the only two?
someone's house and they're a bit classy, I expect a crystal
Cadbury.
bowl with either roses or Quality Street.
No.
Roses are the poshest.
Oh,
If someone
are you
comes
from
around
the
my house,
1930s?
Yes.
but if someone comes around my house with a tub of Celebrations or worse, heroes, I'd say to them, Are we going down the social? Is that where we're heading after this? Are we colleagues and it's a £5 spend and you just stuck a bow on the top of
Don't
it, Sandra,
take
and
that
handed
back. Like
me a
heroes,
Secret
you got
Santa?
a twirl, Cadbury caramel.
I can have that all year
Cream
round.
egg,
Why
cream
would I
egg.
have a miniature? Why would I have a miniature of something that I can have all year round? I don't want a mini Twix.
Because they're
I can have a
bite
Twix on a
sized, so you can
Wednesday.
eat 4 times as many of them.
But if you can have a Twix on a Wednesday, you can have a twirl on a Tuesday, you can have some Maltesers at the weekend. Why would you want them in miniature form at Christmas? Give me the strawberry
Ugh.
in roses pack.
No.
any day.
Absolutely. What about
Give
Gillian?
me Quality Street.
Gillian's surely
Gillian-
the poshest of chocolate.
Gillian's for your middle class family that shop at Sainsbury's. That's what Gillian's
The
is.
trouble with Gillian, they're not like
Nothing wrong with that. Just middle class families who shop at Sainsbury's.
they're not
They get
individually wrapped,
Gillian.
are they, Gillian's? So they're harder to.
No.
Gillian's a bit like boring. There's no personality to a Gillian.
It tastes.
I'll have you
It's
know,
just
Someone gives me
sauce.
Gillians, they do not know who I am.
me and
you know?
Mothram Deer on my birthday weekend shared a nice little box in bed together.
I remember that. I forgot the
While we were
Gillians
watching
got.
about the Queen.
I forgot the Gillians got
At
busted
what
out.
point did you put any of those in your mouth, Acid, and say, "Ooh, oh, I love these. These are my favourite."
I felt like I was eating them for the Queen, actually. Like, I felt like they're top
These
tier
are the
to
sweets
me.
the Queen would eat.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't have changed. Like, I feel like they're the,
Patriotic.
the
If
higher
you
up
want rap,
shelf.
That's
Yeah.
what I think.
If-
And they're always
Yeah.
nicer than they look, aren't they? But they taste like you have to like coffee to like them.
Yeah, they're quite rich, aren't they?
Yeah.
Darling.
I
They're the
just want a
shell-shaped
bag
ones,
of
aren't they?
buttons. Yeah, and a seahorse.
A great big bag of
That's
buns.
The elusive
Is
seahorse.
there a seahorse?
Yeah,
I
there
think
is a
There's
seahorse.
nothing
Yeah,
Because they're all
exciting
like-
that's the one I
about
always
them.
want.
It's all sea based, isn't it, Gillians?
They're all shells.
I cannot get on board with this. Christmas is all about doing this over a tub and making a quick decision and go, ooh, I'll go with that one. Ooh, I'll go with that one. Like, it's the, would you like a Quality Street and someone who's hosting leaning over you with the tub and having to stay there whilst you go, ooh.
And you've got to only take
One
one,
of those.
but you actually
My
want to
mum
take
loves
4.
those. And you end up going through all of them. My mum loves those, and I don't like them, and they're always left in ours. And you just sit there, and that person's just stood there holding a bag of sweets.
Just
to you.
take
When
a
else in the
chocolate.
year is someone stood there like a little butler holding
Quite a
a big
lot
tin of sweets
in
for
our
you?
shop.
I just don't like that you have to get out like a glossary of what everything is, like in
Yeah.
case you get a fucking orange cream or something. Like, what's this one? It could be. Oh no, it's
come
that
on.
one.
It's a ritual you go through every year. Eventually, you learn.
I still don't like
And
them,
then when they
though.
change the packaging slightly, you go, oh, that's weird. For the past 10
Right.
years, I've been reaching for a barrel. They've changed the look of the barrel.
Exactly. It's really discombobulating when they change stuff. And I just.
So you're telling me you are a Quality Street girl? then,
No.
After all of that.
No, for that, I don't
Quite
just. I just
the
don't like to have to sniff my chocolate.
So you agree? You think you're really pretty?
I think I'm fat and that's why I eat chocolate. Speaking of which, how's the cheese bite season going?
Oh, yeah. Happy
'Cause
cheese bite
As
season.
as time of recording, cheese bites have been out 2-3 weeks now.
They've been out since last Wednesday. It'll be a week tomorrow. They've been out.
What is this? I don't know what this is.
So McDonald's do these nacho cheese bites every year for 6 weeks around
This
about
is
October
classic.
time.
I
Quality
thought
Street
this was a
lady.
witch thing. I genuinely thought this was a witch thing.
And so, yes, every year for 6 weeks, there is nacho cheese wedges from McDonald's. And they are liquid cheese in these little triangles with a bit of jalapeno in it, but nothing too spicy. And deep fried in these little triangles of loveliness. And I eat. I'm obsessed with them.
We had them
I
after
have
the
it in my
Halloween
calendar.
party last year.
I have a Google alert so I know what day they're coming out. When McDonald's announces it, usually through the Sun, which I don't read apart from to find out my McDonald's nacho cheese wedges release date. It is a time of year I get very excited about, and on day 1 I will go in there and get 2 share boxes until I'm sick. I love it.
I thought you were going to tell me that this cheese thing was like tie-ins with the moon and stuff.
It's a
I
it's
thought
a
it was like,
summoning
oh,
ritual.
we'll have cheese to celebrate
It's
like the moon changing.
I anticipate
but
this
it's
season coming.
McDonald's.
I am lactose intolerant, so I end up having to eat really healthy leading up to this so that my stomach lining can take the 6 weeks of cheese.
Cheese
It
hammering.
is
Fair play.
quite a feat for me. Unfortunately, they've changed the ingredients this year, and it's no longer a liquid cheese. It's kind of
Oh.
almost like a jelly.
Yeah.
It's quite a solid cheese. It's not
How
runny
dare
anymore.
they?
It's not liquidy. It's not super hot. Because what you would do is you would bite into it, and because it was a crispy on the outside, you bite into a liquid centre. It was like a caramel bar, but with cheese. It was amazing. And then they've changed the ingredient, and now the cheese is kind of a sort of soggy, stodgy, and it's either they're cooking it at a lower temperature or they've changed the ingredient to make it more of a solid than a liquid. And I, for one, am incredibly furious. It is bringing me back to the time when I found out Santa wasn't real. It is this level of disappointment when you realise that just because you're enjoying something doesn't mean a company won't just fucking change the ingredient and
Let's
ruin
write to
something
them.
for you.
Let's do something.
How did you figured out how many cheese bites you ate last year, didn't you?
Oh.
I'd like to. No further questions, please.
It was 2 share boxes, which are 20 cheese bites each, several times a week. It was 40 several times a week. Yeah, it was really bad. I think Gadget and I sat down and worked it out, and I sat there and thought maybe I've got a problem. Like maybe this isn't just me overindulging in something I really enjoy. I think I maybe have a fixation on this.
Like a compulsion
so I'm
to
actually
eat cheese
glad
bites.
that it became like a hyperfixation. So I have now learned that, having recently been diagnosed as an adult with ADD, part of that is hyperfixation on certain things, like a food or a meal that you really like. And I think that's probably what that was. Maybe the cheese bites have never been good. Maybe it was all in my head. But yeah, they've changed the ingredients now. I'm not fond of it anymore. I've had them once or twice in the past week. Not much at all. The spell is broken.
Maybe this is what
Thank
needed
God,
to happen.
because it was ruining my life.
Death by cheese bite. Well, have I been fixated on food-wise in the past? I've got a bit of an addiction to blue.
You have a Bloody Mary thing.
No, that's alcoholism. That's just any alcohol. That's not just Bloody Mary. Although we do have... So, yeah, I like a Bloody Mary, and I like to think I make a good Bloody Mary. So you get the ingredients are like the tomato juice and vodka and Worcester sauce.
So fresh.
Now, I like to spice this up a bit with a little bit of pickle juice. So you get like a pickle jar, and you chuck the pickle juice in. And then I throw in a pepperami, wide boy, if I'm feeling fancy. Maybe a cocktail sausage, the good old celery as well. A little bit of horseradish as well. That's the magic ingredient.
Oh.
Tiny little bit of horseradish, pickle juice, Worcester sauce, spicy tomato juice, and then mostly vodka. So I'm proud of this recipe, and I hadn't seen Jupiter for a while. This was not long after I came back from the States, I think. So I lived in America for about 6 months, and when I came back, I was like, I've got this great new recipe. I was taught it out there. Come round for breakfast or brunch or whatever it was, and I'll make you these Bloody Marys. So I went round, got all the ingredients and everything, like made it all fresh kind of thing. I was like an absolute wizard in the kitchen. And Jupiter came round and took a little sip, and God bless her, she tried. But I just saw the moment where she just went sort of in her mouth, but without opening it. And I think you had a bead of sweat, and I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong with it? And Jupiter
I
said,
think I turned to you and said, it's too fresh.
it's just too fresh. I personally think
Because again, as you remember from last episode, listeners, I have this insatiable need to impress Candy because she's cool.
it's not true.
And if I don't enjoy the meaty breakfast alcoholic tomato drink that she provided for me, I'm not cool. This is what all the cool people in LA are drinking. She's just come back from LA with all her rock star friends. This is what they're drinking. If I can't handle a Bloody Mary, really, what am I? But it was just too fresh.
You tried so hard. It's just that there's nothing.
Really did. That was revolting.
It's not revolting you. It's just too fresh for you. I will make anyone a Bloody Mary, and I swear down they will say it's
Please
the best
don't
Bloody
make me
Mary.
one.
I won't make you one. I understand your taste far too well, but there's nothing worse than something you don't like, other than it being something alcoholic you don't like, because that sick factor just hits you so much harder and so much quicker. And it's like, for example, have you ever drunk or decided to have like a tequila slammer or a Jaeger bomb when you're sober. You don't go straight into a slammer.
No, you don't, do you, Candy? No, I don't want a drink. Comes back with 2 Jaeger bombs. Ta-da!
Was that the Liverpool Tattoo Convention?
Tattoo Convention.
So tell us about that one, because I can't quite remember, because I'd had 4 Sambucas.
Yeah, it just... And I was like, no, I won't drink. It's like the first night, let's be chill. And she just comes back with 2 Jaeger bombs. And she's like, oh no, 2 each. So then she goes and gets hers. And then we drink them. And then it just all turned to chaos, didn't it? And then I had tequila. And then we were dancing.
And then a lady...
roly-polying.
And you tried to kind of get rid of... Yeah, roly-poly's...
Oh, I smashed
one.
My wine. I think I had a wine. I think you brought me a wine. I smashed it because we just got so drunk so fast. And then this woman was like, brought me just another wine. And like just because she watched the whole
before the
thing.
first one had hit the floor, though, I think. She had got...
Yeah, she
raced.
was in there.
She'd raced to the bar, came back. And before it even hit the floor, she was like, here's your replacement wine. Like, she was the hero. She was the hero of the day.
What an angel.
But
not
then,
all heroes wear capes.
That was not the end of that night, because we decided to go back up to the bedroom. We were sharing a hotel room. It's in this old hotel in Liverpool.
This was our first hotel room together, by the way.
The first time you'd been...
First.
I think it was like the first time you'd really been away kind of with a friend as well, wasn't it? More or less. And we didn't know each other that well.
In my adult life, yeah.
In your adult life.
We were quite new, that's what I mean. Yeah, I was coming out of my very bad anxiety of not leaving my husband.
It was a new friendship, and it was quite a stressful weekend because it was a tattoo convention. So yeah, we got hammered. It's the Adelphi Hotel, which is one of the oldest hotels. Like back in its day, it would have been a really, really grand old hotel, like glorious probably. But now it's like The Shining. Now it's all a little bit run down, and everything's a little bit spooky. So we've been downstairs to this party, which was an after party for all the tattooists, and these parties tend to wrap up quite late, like about 3:30. And also, I would advise never to get tattooed at a tattoo convention, by the way, because the tattooists are hanging. But that aside, I think we decided to go to bed probably about, was it like 12:30, 1-ish?
At a tattoo convention.
I know full well I have tattooed you at a tattoo convention. But that's because I was trying to do it for free for you, and that's the only way I could get around that. So we'd gone to bed at about
totally
1
free.
o'clock.
I just want to point that out. I'm not like a scrounger who gets a totally free tattoo.
No, I wanted to give you
significantly discounted.
Yeah, no, I wanted to give you a free tattoo. So we'd gone to bed about 12:30, 1-ish. Getting to bed, I'm like, no, I want to go back out. I was having a good time. There was somebody I fancy down there. So I put my shoes back on, put my heels back on, and when does that ever happen? Like, you've gone to bed.
Never. I can't believe this whole thing even happened. This is before we used to be like, no, don't go back out. Like, no.
I went back out, so I'm like,
we were too polite. I was like, go for it. Go live your best life.
I was shimmying down the stairs. I was ready. I was about to pull the bloke that I fancied. I get back down there, and in the space of about 10 minutes, the place had just absolutely cleared out. There was one friend, Debbie, crazy little Debbie, who, my theory is she went out in 1982 and she hasn't been home yet. She is still wearing the same clothes. She is the party. She will just keep going. So it's just me and crazy little Debbie, who is one of my favourite people in the world. She's brilliant. She's like, all right, do you want to stay out? And I'm like, no, I just, because the lights have gone on. Like, there's people sweeping up around her. So I guess I'll just go back to bed. So, because it's quite an old hotel, and probably it's like 20, 30 quid a night. So it's not exactly the Ritz. You get one kind of flat pillow each. I get back, all the lights were off. I go to my bed,
nice
pillow has disappeared.
Mattress.
I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm trying to like shuffle around. I was like, I must have dropped the pillow. I was like, I can't go to bed. I'm going to have to turn the light on. AcidxPearl's asleep. She's not going to notice. So I put the light on, and apparently all hell breaks loose. She's got my one pillow. She's piled them up.
I did. I'm like the princess and the pea.
So I had to sort of like gently awaken her. I was like, can I have my pillow back, please? So she kind of like turned around and gave me my pillow. And then I went to bed, turned the light off, and all I hear is... and she started crying. She was led there in bed crying because I'd taken the pillow back.
In my defence, right? Because you said you didn't slam the lights on. I'm pretty sure you slammed the lights on. And you also said, I'm going out, I'm going to pull. That pillow to me was fair game.
I never said that.
Should have used a bath towel.
She wasn't expecting you to come back.
Absolutely smashed.
I don't think there even were any bath towels. There wasn't even a shower in the room, was there?
No, there was just a bath.
I had to go to. There was
That's so weird.
There was like a Tesco Express round the corner, and I had to get a. There was no
Sponge.
there was no sponge. There was no kind of Mod Cons in terms of shower gel or anything. So I had to go, and I think I ended up using like a laundry detergent or something in the end.
like a washing up sponge.
Yeah, and a washing up sponge just to wash myself in like 3 inches of water in the bath. It was not the greatest hotel experience. I actually haven't been back to that convention since. Or have we?
But
that
it
the
was
first?
good.
It's a
no,
fun
you
convention.
went back. I didn't go back. You went back.
Is that the same time we went to Alton Towers on the final day?
That is the same time. You decided it'd be really good if we went home via Alton Towers.
Well, I mean, we were already up in the north anyway. So I thought on the Sunday, the tattooers start to wrap up reasonably early, probably about 3:30 to 4. You'll see it dying down. So I'm thinking, well, I'll wrap up by 4, and then 5:30 we'll be on the road, and it should probably only take about an hour or so. 6:30, 7:30 we'll be at Alton Towers. We'll be ready, we'll have a bit of dinner there, and we'll be fresh and ready the next morning.
Wrong.
So from this tattoo convention that we were already absolutely wiped out from, I don't know quite how we managed to leave so late, or for the journey to take so long.
No.
But we ended up.
Actually.
I don't know if you've ever driven to Alton Towers, but it's round the Mulberry. But you have to drive through woodland. Like, you come off the motorway, you think, I'm nearly there. No, you're not nearly there. There's an hour and a half of pure hell of a drive to get to Alton Towers. There's roads where only one small car can get through, with lines and lines of traffic coming each way. It's all wooded over. And I'm driving through this, and it's about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And it's raining, and it's just the most disgusting drive. We see Hedwig, an actual owl.
We absolutely see Hedwig.
And you just know things are going wrong. Like, you're about to see someone jump out and murder you. So by some miracle, we make it to the Alton Towers Hotel, the Splash Landings one.
But we had to stop at the gate because it was closed. Do you remember?
Oh, that's right. We had to get buzzed
should we
in.
play the game of what cars go to Alton Towers to try and cheer ourselves up down this horrible, scary country road?
No cars at that time of night are going to Alton Towers, by the way, if you want to play
was
that
the only
game.
one. And
So-
we had to call in through the little intercom and be like, hello.
So they let us in. We get to Splash Landings Hotel. None of the fountains are on. Nothing. It's just completely dead. So we're all pretty tired and cranky. I'm not, because I'm in Alton Towers mode. And
Which is like no candy you've ever seen before, by the way.
Alton
It's
Towers
like I've
candy.
No way.
taken her to Disney. It was wild.
It's something else.
So that's good.
So we finally get to Splash Landings, and Acid just wants to go to bed. She's tired, cranky, gets in the shower. So I'm like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in the mood, and I'm going to start playing the theme tune to the Smiler. Which is
also, obviously, as you know about the smile, and also I am super still anxious at this point about anything we do, and I ruined my own fun by being like, don't go to Alton Towers, like, don't go on a theme park. So I'm like, Joe, I'm a little bit nervous about these rides. So what does she do when I'm in the shower? She turns the lights off and starts playing the Smiler music, which is like, how, 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 how. Like, Joe, please, just let me have a shower.
You were
Go
absolutely,
to bed.
absolutely over it. She came out and gave me just a look of thunder. You fucking played the Smiler music, you absolute brute. So we finally get into bed, probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. And in Splash Landings, they have a really nice breakfast buffet, but it's full of kids. So you got to get there early. So I think, right, I'm going to set my alarm. 5:30 should be fine, because then we can get down there at 6 and we'll get the pickings of the buffet.
Bear in mind, we're in Alton Towers. You know, like, the 5 a.m. alarm is normally because you gotta get up, you gotta get in the car, you gotta travel there. We're literally here. What are you playing at?
I like a waffle. I like an Alton Towers waffle. I like to get on that. I like to get on the monorail. I like to get my favourite monorail. And I like to be situated in front of Alton Towers about 3 hours before it opens. So I can just, like,
We literally
harangue.
sat in the cold at about 7:30 a.m.
What?
with Joe going, I hope we get the jelly bean monorail. I hope we get it.
What the
Literally for like an hour.
What the fuck?
And then guess what monorail we get? Not the jelly bean
It was the
one.
strawberry
And she
one.
almost wanted to be like, can we wait? And I was like, get on that bloody monorail. We're going to Alton Towers.
So,
Oh
I
my
had the
God.
hairdryers going first thing in the morning as well.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, you did.
had them-
Both hair dryers. That's how I woke up, actually.
2 hairdryers on the go. So we get to Alton Towers about 2, like the actual park entrance, probably about 2 hours early. And the staff were already there. Like, they were behind the gate.
Oh, yeah.
And I tend to not just like things, but love things. So I have to know everything about everything. And I was like, do you know what? I really want to know. Like, when you work at Alton Towers, do you just work on one ride? Or do you swap around? Or do you get to, like, choose what ride you work on? Or, like, what's the crack? Because they wear outfits. Like, if you're working on the Smiley, you have to wear the Smiley outfit. So do they do a shift and then change outfits? Do they take those outfits home and wash them? Do you get one when you're allocated? Do you know what you're working? I just have to know everything. And there was a staff member there. I was like, now's my chance. I'm going to find out. And AcidxPearl is like, Joe, just don't ask. Don't ask. He doesn't care. He's just a student. I asked that man everything about Alton Towers, and he has never been so excited to answer those questions
She
either.
literally couldn't have picked a better candidate. I couldn't believe it.
I asked Mr. Alton Tower, apparently. He knew everything about everything. I was just absolutely in my element. So that 2 hours went really quick for me. So I'm sorry you wasted your morning, but for me it was just absolute brilliance. Loved
I was
it.
just sat on a rock, just listening, like... just let us in, mate.
Absolutely loved it. So yeah, that was... has anyone else done anything of note in this last couple of weeks when we haven't seen each other, not once?
I tell you what I have been doing, and this is a shout out to Oodles.
Oh God,
He
yes.
put in the Discord about a card game, and it's called Marvel Snap. And I instantly looked at I bloody love a card game, and Candy tagged me, and I'm like, I do love a card game. And then I looked at it, I was like, oh, it's going to be loads of like in-sell, and like pay to win. I'm obsessed. I have dreamt about it for 2 nights since playing this game, because I play it last thing at night, first thing in the morning. I like 2 nights now. I see these little cards, and I'm just
shuffling in front of you, dancing around you as you
I am
close your eyes.
obsessed. So yeah, thanks Oodles. I'm also now obsessed with that.
Can you not learn poker or something and make us some money? Because I don't want to work
No,
anymore.
I don't. I can't be strategic. I have to just go with the cards. I think that's why I like card games most of the time. It's a bit of luck, innit?
No, well, not always. Well, yeah, I guess. But please just make us some money, because I'm
All right. Yeah,
I'm
I'll try.
overworking, to be quite honest. It's exhausting working 10 till 3 every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
SuperNattyCat, have you been doing anything fun? Before we move on.
Well, I took my cats to the vets yesterday, and you wouldn't think it would be that fun, but I took Monty and Oreo, the ragdoll cats, to the vets, and Oreo really showed me up. Like, I mean, like if you go and watch, like, I don't know, your nephews or a kid, like a school play, like a school concert, and you got that one that's like picking its nose and
Oh, yeah.
scratching its ass. That was Oreo. So Oreo can't take tablets. He can't take tablets. He's really good. He's really well behaved 99% of the time. But if you want to try and get a tablet in his mouth, it will not work. He turns into a demon. So there's this young vet, bless her. She's obviously wet behind the ears. She's new to her job. And I was like, look, this cat, I know he's really cuddly and really fat and really cute. But as soon as you try and get a tablet in him, he turns into devil. And she's like, no, it's fine. So she said, just hold him nice and gentle. So I'm literally holding my cat. I'm like, this is going to fucking work, is it? And he's looking at me like, nope. So then she comes on with this massive syringe. And I'm like, oh, syringe, good idea. So he's already had his jab in the back of his neck. And he was absolute babe through it. Just sat there, took it. I was like, good one, mate. Anyway, this thing, she like pushes it into his mouth. And he's like, and this thing flies across the room. I was just, fuck. And she was like, oh, we'll try that again. And I'm thinking, nope, this isn't going to work. So then she comes in, does it again. Nope, exactly the same. Now it's all covered in spit and it's sticky. It's all across his face.
Oh.
So fuck, she was like, I'm going to have to get another nurse in. So I was like, oh, God. So then the other nurse comes in then. holds him down. They must have tried it about 6 or 7 times. This cat is not taking this tablet, to the point where he spags her and she has to hold a tea towel thing over her hand because he's cut her
Oh
and she's
no.
bleeding. I was like, no. So in the end, she just said, you're going to have to take it home and do it yourself. I was
Oh,
like,
that ain't never
hell?
going down.
No.
160 fucking quid, that Connie, for me to do it at home.
That was for the emotional
was it
damage.
antibiotics?
Emotional damage.
Emotional damage. Was it antibiotics or was it something
No,
else?
it's just a wormer. Normally I have to like break it up into little tiny pieces and go plop, and like pop it in one piece at a time in like 8ths or even 16ths. But this is bullet.
I've got a lovely, lovely vet who gives it to me straight. And when I first brought my old cat to him, as long as it's gone, he was very old, he wasn't eating much, and we were trying to get some antibiotics in his system because he had a terrible water infection, as old cats tend to do. And it was every day was a hassle to get this antibiotic down his throat, until I went to my new vet, the one I've currently got, and said, this is impossible. I could barely get him to eat, let alone eat something with a tablet in it. And he then proceeded to tell me, oh, most antibiotics have like an injection version, so we'll just inject the antibiotic in him, and it'll be good for the next 7 days. And I thought, why do you bother sending us home with tablets? Why do vets bother sending us home with tablets? Just stick it in them, and then I know it's done.
At least with a dog, you can just put it in a bit of cheese, can't you, or a cheese bite?
No, not with Cash. Cash has none of that. He spits it out.
Oh.
You clever doggo.
I do with mine, actually, just quickly, like with mine, I literally do the thing, because I've got 3 of them now, it works really well if you drop it on the floor, because they're like, oh my god, we all have to, and then, so they all get one, but by me going, oops, I dropped it, it's every time now.
I love it. Yeah, my cat's got an Asbo at the vet. I thought it was just a one-off because he was nervous, and now he does it every time now, so yeah, last time, he had to have the old tea towel on the head, and I had to hold his like little paws, tea towel on the head whilst he got the injection on the back of the neck. I was like, I'm so sorry. I thought it was just a one-off because he was always fine at the vet, and then one time he wasn't. He sort of inhaled a dreamy, I think, and now he's got bad associations because he was sort of he wasn't really choking. What had happened was, it looked like he was choking, but you know when you accidentally swallow a crisp, and you're just like for ages.
Oh.
He was just there hamming it up. So he has negative associations with the vet now. So yeah, he's got an Asbo. So I have to give him like calms and stuff before he goes now. Absolute little bugger. Anyway, on that hot take, do you have any women in history of note for us this week?
Yes, I do. So thinking about how it was Halloween at time of recording recently, I wanted to think of a woman who used her knowledge inherited by her mother, her mother's mother, and all the women around her, who put their knowledge together and acted as medicine women for their villages. One person in particular I'm thinking of is Mrs. Hutton. So back in the 17th century, a patient presented with dropsy, which is a swelling of the body due to a heart condition. It's very uncomfortable, very, very painful, and essentially the person just swells and swells and swells. So this patient was presented to a Scottish doctor called Dr. William Withery, who had tried various medications to treat this patient with no avail. This patient then goes to seek a second opinion from a local witch/medicine woman who provided them with a potion containing 20 plus plant ingredients, and it worked. It worked. Incredible doctors of the day couldn't figure it out, but this witch/local medicine woman figured it out. When the doctor heard that his patient had been cured of dropsy, he had to know how. So he went to Mrs. Hutton, the witch/medicine woman, and asked her for a sample of her miracle tonic. He then took it back and looked at it to see that the main ingredient was purple foxglove, or digitalis is its Latin name. This then went on to Dr. Withering then went on to do a kind of rudimentary clinical trial of 163 patients where he used different varying doses of foxglove with them all to see the best result and the one that got absorbed into the system most and in what quantities, and found incredible results with it. And now, 200 years later, from the time of Mrs. Hutton, a woman who was considered a witch, we now use a foxglove compound used in our heart medication that has been, it's approved and used in modern medicine. So it's important to remember that a lot of our medicine, a lot of our science comes from knowledge passed down from women to women who were the caregivers, who were the medicine women, who were those who had the understanding of the natural world around them, understanding of what worked, interpreted local myth and legends to understand things at a time when illiteracy was really, really high. So it was a lot of rhymes and songs to remember ingredients to different potions, which could sound like spell casting. So thinking around Halloween and how much we think about witches, it's important to remember that a lot of the time those witches were incredibly important women in communities that kept other women safe and were often the foundation that our modern medicine has been built on.
I think like the classic image of like a classic image of a witch as well is a woman with a broomstick with a cat. And actually these were just sort of the really sort of sanitary women of back in the day that knew that to keep a house clean would mean being healthy. So they would be there with the broom cleaning everything out. They'd have a cat in there because they knew the cat would catch the mice and other pests and everything. So, you know, when you're thinking of a witch on a broomstick with a cat, it comes from these women that are just being super hygienic with the tools they had back in the day.
Well, it's also important to remember a timeline in history as well, that we had the witch scares across Europe. It was particularly bad in Scotland, different parts of Europe, and obviously over in America. They were bad in England as well, but nowhere near as bad, as violent as they were in Scotland. A lot of the time these women had knowledge passed down. They knew, like you said, have a cat. Cats will chase out the mice, and mice bring in disease. Now, during the persecution of these witches and all the horror that came with that, it also was cats as well that were persecuted, as they were perceived as, these intelligent women who don't follow blindly with the church or have their own methods and spirituality of treating people and is not what the church want to be done. They also have cats. So this must be their devil companions.
Yeah.
The cats were all killed out, and there was a huge drop in the population of cats across Europe. And then the Black Plague came, because rats ran rife. We had no cats to chase them.
It's mental.
And it is considered that the persecution and the extermination of all the cats from the witch trials led to an abundance of rats to carry the diseases for the Black Death.
Did you hear? This is like a slight aside, but they were thinking at one point, I think around Chernobyl, or it was some area of high radiation. They were thinking of actually trying to breed cats that would glow when they were sort of in contact with radiation. So I don't know whether it would be their eyes glowing or maybe they were sort of bull cats. But anyway, they were thinking maybe they could breed a fear of glowing cats, so that if you saw a glowing cat, you knew that radiation was nearby. Like this, God's honest truth, there was some kind of theory that you could breed a cat that would glow when it was near radiation.
Oh my god.
That probably in theory sounds like a great idea, but anyone who has lost a cat and found them 10 miles away in a local village being fed by an old lady will know that the cat will not stay local to the radiation area. The cat will travel.
Absolutely.
And
Ultimately, it didn't work out.
And you'll sit there going, I thought this was a safe zone, but I've just seen a glowing cat.
It's completely
I can't
true.
tell if he's lost.
It's completely true. So I just quickly Googled it, and it says in 1984, writer Francois Bastide and semiotician Pablo Fabry suggested the answer could lie in breeding animals that react with discoloration of the skin when exposed to radiation. And their role would be a detector of radiation that would be anchored in cultural tradition by introducing a suitable name such as Ray Cat. So in short, cats that turn
Cat.
green, for example, when near radioactive material.
Oh, I want a
I
little
want
Ray
one.
Cat.
It was said to be a legend, but it's actually gained fresh traction in 2015. It's called the Ray Cat solution. And yeah, they said they could engineer cats to glow using enzyme interaction. But yeah, so that is very, very true.
Well, we all learned something today. Anyway, before we move on to the main topic, as is tradition on these things, I'm just going to quickly talk about how you can help support us if you feel so inclined. So, Smash That Glass is a Modern Escapism network production. We currently have a lineup of 4 regular podcasts, which includes our main show, Modern Escapism, a live D&D playthrough podcast, Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep, Deep Dive Lounge, a bite-sized podcast where host Oodles asks people of note the same 10 questions every month. And that's just a really fun one to listen to when you're on your way to work or something. You know, half an hour is all it takes. If you head over to modernescapism.co.uk, you'll find all of our social links and contact details and our wonderful, wonderful Discord. And we spoke about it last episode, but everyone on the Discord is just so lovely and so welcoming. And we have a good old chat and we have a good old debate every now and again. And we even have a little gallery where we show off our creative endeavours as well. So that's where I tend to hang out. So for just £7.50 a month, plus VAT, you'll find all 4 of our podcasts, plus any specials, ad-free, a few days early, and in our case, completely uncensored, as part of the Biggie Bundle on Patreon. That's at least 11 podcasts a month, and possibly more, depending on the amount of specials we do. And if you're a new listener today, I'd really urge you to check out our sister podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you normally find your podcast, basically. So anyway, on with the show, and this week I've brought somebody for my main topic. Actually, that's a lie. I've brought 2 people. One person I do just want to quickly mention is Angela Browder, and she's the studio director at Bethesda Game Studios. So she's been working at Bethesda in various roles for the best part of 18 years. She started as a game tester on The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and then became a associate producer on Fallout 3. After that, she became a fully fledged producer on Skyrim and then Fallout 4, before becoming a lead producer on the Fallout 4 DLCs. Following that, she became a senior producer on Fallout 76 before finally becoming the studio director. And she's currently working on Starfield, which I'm really, really excited for. I've been absolutely buzzing for this for years.
There's definitely this core group who's been working together for decades and knows how to make a BGS game. And then there's this, new generation of game developers who are coming in and working at BGS who grew up on those games those people made. For some people, those are the games that got them to go into the industry in the first place. And what I love about that is those people come in and they love the worlds too, and they want to stay true to those worlds that they grew up on. And so we're still able to maintain what a BGS game is, but continue to evolve.
And I imagine the studio director, I think it's basically more or less a second in command to Todd Howard himself. And the only reason she isn't my main choice is there's actually very little to be found about her online. Like, she hasn't got a Twitter, she's got nothing. All I'm relying on is the Fallout fan pages and the Elder Scrolls fan pages. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention somebody from Bethesda, because as you all know, I'm an absolute Bethesda fangirl, completely unashamedly. But the main person I want to talk about is a horror director, and she's a director, screenwriter, producer, and an actress, and her name's Ana Lily Amirpour. And the reason I found out about or became aware of her was the recent Cabinet of Curiosities series on Netflix. Has anyone been watching it?
I have just started it.
Yeah, so
Last
it's
episode down.
So it's created by Guillermo del Toro, and it's an anthology of 8 episodes of various kind of mini horror short stories. So the reason I actually became aware of her was she directed my favourite episode of Cabinet of Curiosities, and it's an episode where a lady is being sold skin cream through her TV, and the skin cream kind of takes on a bit of a life of itself. So yeah, the best part of this show, or what I find really charming, is that as Guillermo del Toro actually introduces every episode as if like Hitchcock used to. So he tells you the name of the director, he tells you what the story is based on, and this name cropped up, and it was Ana Lily Amirpour. I was like, I think I've heard of that name. And I don't know if you've heard of a film called A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It was her debut film, and it was really, really highly acclaimed. And it's filmed in black and white, and really, really rich, really, really dark blacks, really light lights, and it's filmed entirely in Persian. She's I believe it says she's born in England, and then she's moved to the States, but I think she might be of Persian descent. But anyway, this film is filmed entirely in Persian, and it's the best way to describe it is it's almost like a vampire spaghetti western, and I can't describe it any more accurately than that. But it's the main character, this vampire girl. She wears a hijab, the Persian kind of headwear, and she flaps that around rather than like the classic vampire cape. It's really cool. It's there's very little actual there's not that much talking in it, and the reason for that, Ana Lily Amirpour says that she's hard of hearing herself. She's only got 30%, I think she's got 30% hearing loss. So all of her films, they're not very dialogue heavy at all. It's all really, really stylized. Another film that she's done is The Bad Batch, and it's not the Star Wars one. It's the version with Jason Momoa. Did anyone see that?
No.
So it's it's almost like a sort of Mad Max steampunk type film. And again, there's not that much dialogue, but it's got, who else has it got? It's got Jim Carrey in it, and it's got Keanu Reeves in it. But they've all got such small parts, and they all look so unrecognizable, you would just never know. But the style that she makes films are so recognizable. I mean, they're quite grisly. Like I said, she's a horror director. But it's just such a lovely style. And there's a certain... The best way to describe... I think, if you've ever seen Let the Right One In, which was a Swedish vampire film, you could almost kind of compare A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night to that. But they're all very... feminine heavy. Like the lead characters will always be strong women, or certainly in the things that I've seen that she's made. So just to talk about her early life, she was born in Margate, England. She moved to Miami when she was young, and then settled in California, where she went to high school. She began studying biology at Santa Barbara, but dropped out after 1 year. She later returned to school to study painting and sculpting, attending at San Francisco State University for her undergrad degree, and then studied screenwriting at the UCLA School of Theatre, Film and Television. And she's basically been making films since she was about 12 years old. And her love for film came around the same time she moved to America, so around sort of early 1980s, and she often speaks about just what a shock it was to move out there. And then she connected, the best way that she connected to America was through the films that she would watch. How she assimilated and became American was through American pop culture and music, so like Madonna and Michael Jackson, and just through movies. So I've spoken about A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It's described as the first Iranian vampire spaghetti western with elements of film noir and the restraint of Iranian new wave cinema. The Bad Batch 2016, Amirpour described her second film, an English language film entitled The Bad Batch, as a post-apocalyptic cannibal love story set in Texas wasteland, where a muscle cannibal breaks the rule, don't play with your food. It's Road Warrior meets Pretty in Pink with a dope soundtrack. And
I have seen it. I just googled and I remember it now.
Yeah, it came out.
It's so cool. Like the style. I see what you mean, because I remember there not being that much dialogue in that.
Yeah, it's all very, very quiet, and a lot of it is just it's the images you see, and then just the really rich pictures and rich colours in this one. One I haven't seen is Mona Lisa and the Blood Moon, and this is Amirpour's third feature film, starring Jun Jong-seo and Kate Hudson. And the movie is described as a mind-bending adventure set in the humid, neon-lit streets of New Orleans, inspired by adventure films of the 80s and 90s. The film follows a young girl with special abilities. After escaping from an asylum, she enters back into the chaotic reality around her, making unexpected allies along the way. She's also... Does anyone remember Cliffhanger, the 90s film?
Yes.
She's making a reboot of Cliffhanger. A female-led reboot, and it also has Jason Momoa in it. But she's also written several short stories for television. She's written one for... and I didn't even know this was a thing. Apparently Jordan Peele did a version of The Twilight Zone. So she's written a episode of Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone, and again, written a episode for Cabinet of Curiosities, which is just absolutely brilliant. And then she's also done a graphic novel of, or an e-comic series of A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night as well. So she's really cool. She always uses really strong kind of leading ladies. She always turns stories on their head a bit, and just her use of colour and imagery and just lack of dialogue. I just absolutely love her. She's great. She's really cool. She's really cool looking as well. Like, if you look her up online, just really strong girl. Love her. Absolutely love her. So yeah,
what would you say?
Have a watch of some of her stuff. Especially, I think, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night is really like, it's almost one of the kind of old silent films of old. Almost a kind of Nosferatu, but with a modern twist.
How scary is it? Because, I mean, I spent my 20s walking home alone at night. Am I reliving it, or is there a monster in it too?
Or is she the monster? Is the girl walking home alone at night the threat? See what that's how she's kind of turning things on their head a little bit. I wouldn't say it's super scary. I wouldn't say it's that scary at all. It's just a really stylized kind of classic looking horror film with a modern twist.
I definitely, yeah.
And what do you think her perspective does that's different to, a woman doing this, a male-dominated industry? I know there's a lot of men making movies, so what's her perspective that you like so much? Again,
it's a kind of bait and twist sort of thing. With Bad Batch, you would assume that Jason Momoa is the main character, and he does take a big role, but actually the main character is this girl who's basically been kidnapped by a group of people who intend on eating her. So they've lopped her leg off.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
I forgot as well Keanu's in it.
That's right,
like,
yeah.
Just,
crazy DJ.
Disguising, like, yeah, very, like, nonchalant.
Oh, it's Keanu Reeves in it.
Who?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say
Keanu's in it, and Jim Carrey as well.
Oh, no, you're leg taking. Stupid. That's really stupid.
But yeah, check out her films. They're really fun. And you don't have to listen either, because there's not much to it. But yeah, absolutely love her. So,
oh, wow.
I love that.
What do we have in terms of feedback this week?
So this week we asked our listeners to give us their favourite female antagonists and their reasons for choosing so.
This is a favourite subject of mine, because I'm always bringing up on Modern Escapism. When we're talking about sort of females versus males in computer games and movies and stuff, you often see, because people like the underdog, you'll often get a female main character and you're rooting for them because you always root for the underdog. But what you don't often see is a female antagonist, a woman, especially in games, a woman that's just bad for the sake of being bad. And that's what I want to hear about. Who's your favourite?
So we've got a couple of responses this week. So first one coming from Xenos. So Xenos says, the first character that springs to mind for female antagonist has to be Mother Brain from the Metroid games for me. She doesn't directly appear before the end of most games she's in, but she is the literal mastermind behind the space pirate forces plaguing the galaxy, whose Samus Aran has been sent to take down in the original Metroid and Super Metroid. I'd also like to mention Superior Saturday, named Saturday self-titled Superior, from Garth Nix's Keys to the Kingdom book series. She is directly or indirectly the cause of almost everything that happens in the series, because with all the major antagonists representing one of the 7 deadly sins, hers is envy, and the ostensible big bad Lord Sunday is Pride, which has led him to isolate himself from all the others, meaning Saturday is the one doing all the actual planning for every plot in the series, with tacit approval of Lord Sunday because he doesn't respond to her messages asking if he wants her to stop. She's an enormously powerful sorceress, the de facto head of the entire villain faction, probably the biggest actual threat in the series, driven entirely by the desire to prove she's better than everyone else. Strictly speaking, she's been manipulated into it by someone else, but the fact remains that she's the one making all the decisions. She popped into existence at the start of creation, shortly after the architect, effectively God, who is also female, and is probably the second oldest being in reality, but is intensely angry about the architect not selecting her as heir to the position, and instead making her, the architect that is, Sun Sunday, the highest ranking of its trustees until a rightful heir is found.
That sounds incredible. And going back to Metroid, actually, that's a
Wow.
really interesting one, because did you ever play Metroid, especially the older ones back in the day?
Mm-mm.
So Samus is the female protagonist, but she, as far as I know, she doesn't actually remove her helmet or her armor, certainly in the older games. And it's very sort of clunky, unfeminine looking armor as well. And you would have to know that she's a female character to know. So Metroid particularly is a really, really good shout.
Ooh. Second, we've got Fizzle.
Fizzle!
Fizzle!
It's a Manizzle Fizzle. So she's put female antagonist Alessa from Silent Hill and her mother Dahlia.
Yeah.
Alessa has such a sad backstory, which Fizzle did put the link up to in the Discord, so you could have a little read. A child intended to birth a demon god, immolation by her mother, and Alessa's attempts to stop paradise as perceived by the cult. Her mother wants to use her daughter to birth a demon god and will do anything to achieve this. The perception got from the game was very much that the cult was female-led rather than male-led, and to me at the time that made me think about the concept of maternal instinct or protection and the overriding belief in cults and religions portrayed by Dahlia. Some very interesting backstory in that link. So you'll have to have a little gander.
That's incredible.
But that's another. I love Silent Hill. I think it's awesome. But Fizzle brings up a really good point. And I remember when we chatted about it in the Discord, we said, well, Silent Hill came out a while ago, and actually it was well before Me Too. It was before we started to see women come into the forefront of sort of modern culture. So to actually have a female antagonist at that time was huge. And we didn't really pay much attention to it at the time, but looking back now, that's a massive step forward.
Absolutely. That's a really, really good shout.
And then last minute Stig, so he managed to quickly shove a little comment in here. So he put, my favourite female antagonist is Cruella de Vil.
Yes.
Not only is I think she's good. Not only is
I'm
she an
surprised
amazing
Stig
female.
said that.
Yeah, I was too. I wasn't expecting that.
I'm surprised. I love that.
So he put, not only is she an amazing female antagonist, but also quite possibly the greatest Disney villain of all time. I agree. When I was a child, I actually found her quite frightening. From the get-go, you know this is a bad woman. The way they introduce it is brilliant. Flying down the road in a massive car, honking the horn loudly.
With her eyes
and
going.
Then and Devil on the front of the car on the number plate. Bursting into the house, bringing with his cigarette smoke, and then just banging past Nanny. She just has zero care for anything or anyone. She's drawn with a skeletal physique on pointed edges to make her look as unapproachable as possible. And in the scene where she gets furious road rage, they make her look like a literal demon. She becomes more deranged and haggard as the film goes on, a vast difference from her confident and well-groomed intro. But it's not just her looks that are iconic, but also her voice. Betty Lou Gerson does such an amazing job of bringing to life this amazing, larger-than-life character. The way she talks, laughs, or gets angry is just so perfectly evil in every facet. But if the look and the voice weren't enough to convince you of her evilness, her actions will be. This woman lives for fur, which is bad enough in itself. But then you have to consider that she's quite happy to murder a load of newborn puppies in order to just have a new coat. If that doesn't scream evil, then I don't know what does. As a character, she's blinded by her greed and selfishness. She doesn't care who she hurts in the process, and she does it in fabulous style. She's a character that's just evil through and through from the get-go. And that's all we needed to know about her. We didn't need the sympathetic backstory film about her at all, even if it was quite a film. Sometimes characters can just be bad, and Cruella was the perfect example of this. Truly an iconic antagonist.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I
Well
loved that
said.
Cruella de Vil film, but we didn't need it. Nobody asked for it.
No.
It
We
was
didn't need
so
it. She
beautifully
could just
shot
be
that,
evil for
yeah.
being. Oh, it was amazing. But we didn't need it. We
No,
didn't.
I mean, the woman
I
kills
loved
puppies.
it. But...
You know, she's bad.
Yeah.
Like, how are you
I
bringing
didn't
that
want
back?
to feel sorry for
No.
her.
And they almost
Exactly.
kind of,
So,
they made the
yeah.
Dalmatians out to be the baddies for a second, didn't they? Like, oh, she got chased down
Yeah.
by Dalmatians. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean you go back and kill them. But no, it was a really fun, it was a really beautifully shot film. And I thought it was,
Oh, yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't like this trend of sympathetic backstories. And I've spoken about that before. But yeah, just the look of, I think every Disney villain as well has that really long drawn, like spindly kind of look to them. In the face,
Even
and it's
Scar,
like
the
really,
lion.
even Scar the Lion, even Hades, and even actually Ursula as well. Even though she's like
Yeah.
a
She's
bigger
still
curvy
pointed,
woman,
isn't she? Yeah, like her face.
her face is
The,
really
and
angular.
makeup.
The bad guy in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. How like
Frollo.
Yeah,
Frodo, that's it. Where he like sniffs
what
Esmeralda's scarf through his
bastard.
fingers as the flame. Oh, that is my favorite Disney film. Favorite Disney scene is him grappling with his desire to have
her. It's horrible.
have her
It makes my skin
and
crawl.
his desire to be righteous. And I just love that scene so much.
I think Cruella's such a good one as well because everyone actually knows a Cruella, don't they?
Yeah.
Like it's a very
Yes.
relatable character that you've definitely come across in your life, and you could almost accidentally become friends with them until you realise they're puppy murderers.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's almost the Karen, isn't she? You know, it's
comes in
it's all
wearing your
about
hat as a
her.
hat.
She's a glam
Yeah.
Karen.
Yeah, it's all bang, 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 and it's all about her.
Yeah, that's a really good shout.
She is a baddie. She's just bad.
That's
Yeah,
what we
she's
like
just
with
bad.
baddies. Bad to be bad. Stop,
Yeah.
get rid of the sympathetic backstories. We just like bad to be bad.
Give
Is
us
that
bad.
it
We
for
like bad to be bad.
feedback?
That is it for feedback this week. Very good ones. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
That
thank you,
takes us
Pickles.
on then. Yeah, thank you for the feedback. That was absolutely incredible. So that takes us on then to Just Ask Her. And what do we have for Auntie Jupiter this week?
So we have a suggestion from someone only known as C, the letter C, and they've got just not very long one. So it says, "Hiya Jupiter. My long-term girlfriend has always had a problem with accepting gifts. I spent ages researching what she might like. I put loads of thought into it, and I always think I've done a good job. But every year when it's her birthday or Christmas, she screws her face up and makes a big scene, saying things like, 'You shouldn't have bothered.' She really is a nice girl and I love her to bits. And it's only this that I have a problem with, but it's giving me the ick vibes. What should I do?"
Aw, that doesn't sound very nice. At first, when you started explaining that, I thought, "There's gadget written in about me.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Call me out." And the reason I say that is I'm not the best person to receive gifts. Now, in this segment, if I talk about myself, it's my way of empathizing with the situation, not making it about me. I'm trying to pull from my own experience to understand. And what I heard there was someone who, the thing is with gift giving, and especially when you've got an adult partner giving you gifts, is sometimes gift giving can really pull up a lot of messed up stuff from our childhoods. Be it that, you know, receiving a gift from your family when you were younger was always fraught with guilt or with disappointment because you either had parents who didn't really know you and didn't know what to get you, or perhaps you were hyper aware of your family's financial situation and getting gifts from them was always a minefield of being excited with whatever you can get but navigating the disappointment that maybe you didn't get what your classmates are getting. So I would probably say perhaps a conversation with her, not anywhere near a time of giving, not anywhere near a time where you think, oh, in a couple of months I'll be giving her a present, I hope she'll remember this conversation, but actually understanding what her expectations are for her birthday or for Christmas. You know, what is she expecting from you? Is she expecting you to plan the day and take her out and make it an event? Or is she planning for you to stick to a list and not be creative? Or does she want you to be creative? Everyone's different. Does she get embarrassed if you spend too much because she can't meet that same threshold? Or are her expectations too high? And perhaps you're someone who grew up in a family where you wouldn't spend more than £50-100 on a partner, but she's from a family that maybe spend £300, you know? So getting the expectations and stuff out there as well would be a good opportunity, a good conversation to have, because at least then you're going in forearmed. But I think this is also an opportunity for you to say to her, this it's perceived, you know, whatever you're going through, the way I'm receiving it is rude. I spend a lot of time thinking about gifts for you. I want to get something that either you will use or would make you feel special, because that's essentially what we give gifts for, is to make someone else feel good and feel like I know you and I've shown you that I know you through a gift that I think you would enjoy. That's what the point of a gift is. So she's screwing up her face.
I have a question for C as well, and it might be something for them to ask themselves. Does your partner struggle with taking compliments as well? Do they feel like, do they have issues with feeling like they're being put on a pedestal? Because this may come from a feeling of lack of confidence from them. They're thinking, what have I done to deserve such a wonderful gift? Maybe they truly do absolutely love it, but they're wondering why they feel like they deserve it. So it might be a case of that they're feeling a little bit self-conscious in themselves and like throwing it back, like you actually should not have done this. I don't, not necessarily, you know, maybe I didn't deserve it myself, or I feel awkward accepting a gift because I don't feel confident enough to accept the compliment.
That's a good point as well.
I think, thinking back to the question, he did say that she screws her face up and says you shouldn't have bothered. I would probably ask if that is exactly what's happening, or if it becomes an argument and then that's what she ends up saying, you shouldn't have bothered. It's sad that happens, because I imagine it puts an enormous amount of stress on you, C, because you want to make sure you get the right gift and hit this impossibly moving target in the dark, because you don't know what she wants and you don't know what her expectations are. So I think the first thing to do is to have that conversation with her at a time when you're probably both doing something. I always find those really tricky, awkward relationship conversations are best had when your hands are both busy. So if you're doing the washing up, cooking, washing up, something that distracts your body so that your brain can think about the conversation.
Car drives are good too, because you're not looking at each other in the eye. So it's a more relaxed
Yes,
situation.
unless you tend to get road rage when you go into an argument.
Like Cruella de Vil.
But I always find if one of you is washing up and one of you is drying up, so your hands are full, both of your hands
with
are
knives.
full, conversations are easier to have. But it's definitely it's not a nice way to live. I can totally understand that. But I would say be empathetic, because you don't know what kind of backstory she's got. She may have, and this could be a possibility, she may have been in a relationship with someone who would shower her in gifts, which sounds lovely, but that was their way of getting around ever having to apologise for their behaviour. I know plenty of women who are very uncomfortable with receiving generous gifts from their partners because they were in a relationship with someone who was very grumpy or very moody, or would often ruin the day because they had a really foul mood and they just don't control their temper very well. And then instead of saying sorry or addressing their issues, they would throw money at the problem and shower them with gifts, and that would make them feel very uncomfortable. So I would have a conversation first and see.
It's a lovely thing that you're doing,
but
though.
make sure you pick your moment, because you could be opening a can of worms for her, or at least you'll be poking at a bit of a tender spot for her, and just sit and listen and ask her. Don't say, why are you behaving like this? Say, what are your expectations? What are your feelings leading up to your birthday? Are you anxious because you know an argument's coming? Are you excited and then you're let down because I've missed the mark? Figure out exactly what her feelings are leading up to, on and after her birthday, and you may start to figure out together how to overcome this, because this is a problem for you as a couple to overcome together, rather than something that's between you for you to battle against.
Good.
That's really good advice.
Really good advice there. Thank you, Jupiter. As always, following Jupiter's advice may result in loss of taste and bankruptcy. And on that note, we are...
And the use of tactical tampons, which we will explain at another date.
I can't wait for that one.
Candy's laughing because she knows exactly
I know
what
exactly what you're talking about. Anyway, on that tactical tampon bombshell, we're done. Thank you to everyone for joining us, and thank you to my wonderful co-hosts. Thank you for all feedback. And if you do want to get in contact with us, all the information is modernescapism.co.uk, or you can check our show notes. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
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 Bye.